Okay, I want you to do a quick scan of your body right now. Where are you? Are you driving? At a desk.
Could be just relaxing on the couch.
Exactly. The odds are you're sitting down. And, I mean, that feels pretty normal, right? It's just the default setting for modern life.
It is.
But there's this phrase that keeps popping up. It sounds like total hyperbole, but maybe. Maybe it's a biological reality. You've definitely heard it. Sitting is the new smoking.
It is a startling comparison.
No.
And for a long time, I think a lot of us just dismissed it as, a catchy alarmist headline to sell standing desks.
Right, exactly.
But when you actually dig into the stack of research we have today, and we're talking about Harvard School of Public Health, the Mayo Clinic, the Harvard Gazette, even deep reviews from the Korean Journal of Family Medicine, that comparison starts to look, well, less like a metaphor and more like a diagnosis.
And that's exactly what we're unpacking in this deep dive. But I don't want this to be just another lecture on, hey, you should stand up more. I want to look at the actual machinery. Like, what is happening under the hood when we turn the body off for too long? We're going to talk about this thing called the active couch potato paradox, which I have to admit hurt my feelings a little bit. And we're going to figure out how to navigate a world that is basically designed to keep us in a chair.
Precisely. The mission here isn't to induce panic. It's to understand the mechanism. Why does the human body, which is this masterpiece of adaptation, react so negatively to just being still?
So where do we start? Let's define the beast. When researchers say sedentary, they're not just talking about being a lazy couch potato, are they?
No, not at all. And it's distinct from just a lack of exercise. It's a very specific measurement of energy expenditure.
Okay.
So according to the Sedentary Behavior Research Network, it's any waking behavior where you're using 1.5 MET-Ts of energy or less.
MET-Ts. Break that down for us.
A MET is a metabolic equivalent of task. So 1 MET is the energy you burn just existing, resting, breathing, just sitting there, your baseline. So 1.5 is barely above that. And here's the kicker. This includes sitting, obviously, but also leaning and reclining.
Wait, reclining? See, I would have thought reclining is relaxing. That's supposed to be good for you.
You'd think so, right?
Yeah. You're telling me kicking back in a comfy chair is technically a health risk?
In this context, yes.
Yeah.
The human body is designed to be upright. When you're upright, your cardiovascular system is more efficient. Your digestion works better because gravity's helping out.
Right.
When you collapse that posture for hours, you enter that sedentary zone. You're basically putting your systems into sleep mode while you're still awake.
That is a scary way to put it. So how much of the sleep mode are we actually in?
The stats are concerning. In the U.S., adults spend about 55% of their waking time sedentary. That's about 7.7 hours a day.
That's just a normal workday for most people. Commute, desk, commute back, dinner. You hit 8 hours without even trying.
Without a thought. And it's not just the U.S. One of our sources from Korea notes their adults average even higher, about 8.3 hours a day.
Wow.
And interestingly, this is very much a rich country problem. Low-income countries, they have about half the sedentary rates of high-income ones.
Because we've engineered the movement out of our lives. We have cars, desk jobs, remote controls. We've bought our way into stillness. So let's get into the why. You mentioned enzymes. What is actually happening or not happening inside my body when I sit down for 4 hours straight?
Okay, this is where it gets really fascinating. We have to talk about a protein called lipoprotein lipase, or LPL.
LPL.
Got it. Think of LPL as like the janitor of your bloodstream. Its job is to break down blood lipids, fats, and help regulate your blood sugar. It's constantly sweeping up triglycerides.
So LPL is the cleanup crew.
Exactly. And here's the crucial insight. Physical inactivity doesn't just slow LPL down. It practically shuts it off.
Whoa.
There was this landmark study on rats that illustrates it perfectly. They compared rats doing just light walking to rats that were basically put in cages to restrict movement.
I'm guessing the cage rats didn't do so well.
It was way worse than you'd think. The LPL activity in the inactive rats didn't just drop a little bit. It plummeted to 10% of the active group.
10%. So it's not just that they weren't burning calories, it's that the biological switch for processing fat basically got turned off.
Correct. And this happens fast. When you stop moving, that janitor goes on strike. And that explains the rapid onset of metabolic issues we see. High triglycerides, low good cholesterol, insulin resistance. The machinery just stops.
That is such a vivid image, sludge building up in the pipes because the janitor went home.
Yeah.
But there was another mechanism in the research that completely blew my mind. You have to explain the gravitostat. It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
It does, doesn't it? And it's a pretty new concept.
Yeah.
We always knew the body regulates weight with appetite and hormones, leptin, ghrelin.
Sure.
But now research suggests there's a second system, a kind of weight scale built directly into your lower weight-bearing bones.
Wait. So my leg bones know how much I weigh?
Essentially, yes. This is the gravitostat. It senses the load being placed on your body. The Korean journal source cites this incredible study. They took 2 groups. One wore a heavy vest like 11 kilograms or 24 pounds for 8 hours a day.
Oof.
The other group wore a light vest, just 1 kilogram.
Carrying an extra 24 pounds all day would be miserable.
It's a lot of work. But get this. After 3 weeks, the heavy vest group lost 1.6 kilograms. The light vest group, almost nothing, 0.3 kilograms.
So just tricking the bones into thinking the body was heavier made the body shed weight.
That's the hypothesis. The body sensed the extra load through the bone cells and basically revved up its metabolism to drop what it thought was excess mass. It's a feedback loop.
That is wild, but how does that connect back to sitting?
Well, just think about what sitting is. You are taking the load off those weight-bearing bones. You are zeroing out the scale.
You're blinding the gravitastat.
Exactly. Your body thinks, oh, I'm weightless, or I don't have a load to carry. So that signal to burn fat, it gets turned down. Your body might even think it needs to store fat because it doesn't sense any physical demand.
We're basically tricking our bodies into thinking we don't need to be fit. Okay, this brings us to the part that I think is going to hit a lot of listeners hard, the active couch potato. Because I know people are listening thinking, okay, I sit all day, but I go to the gym for an hour every day, so I'm fine.
This is the paradox. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news here, but the data suggests you might not be as fine as you think.
Let's unpack this because it feels so counterintuitive. Exercise is supposed to be the cure-all.
It is for many things. But we have data from this huge study reported by the Harvard Gazette. They looked at nearly 90,000 people using activity trackers. So this is hard data, not just self-reporting.
Okay.
They found that sitting for more than 10.6 hours a day was tied to a 40 to 60% higher risk of heart failure and cardiovascular death.
But what about the people who exercised?
That's the crux of it. Even for people who met the standard exercise guidelines, that risk remains significantly elevated.
So it didn't cancel it out?
Not completely. The study found that exercise is great for preventing, say, atrial fibrillation and heart attacks, but it only partially offsets the risk for heart failure and cardiovascular death if you're sitting that much.
So you can't just outrun a day of sitting. It's almost like they're two separate things, how much you exercise and how much you sit.
To a large extent, yes. A Harvard Chan School study of 1 million people tried to find that magic number. Is there an amount of exercise that does cancel it out? They found that to fully eliminate the increased mortality risk from sitting more than 8 hours a day, you need a lot of exercise.
How much is a lot?
60 to 75 minutes of moderate to vigorous physical activity per day.
Per day. The standard recommendation is 150 minutes a week.
Exactly. The baseline is for general health. But if you are actively trying to undo the damage of an 8-hour chair session, the bar is just much, much higher. Most of us are not getting 75 minutes of intense activity every single day.
No way! That's a high bar. It really drives home the point that sitting less is just as important, maybe more so, than exercising more.
Right. It's often easier to just reduce the sitting time.
And it's not just the heart, right? Our sources link sitting to a whole bunch of other nasty things.
Unfortunately, yes. The impact is systemic. Let's talk mental health. Sitting more than 6 hours a day is correlated with higher rates of anxiety and depression.
Okay, devil's advocate here. Is that because sitting causes depression or because people who are depressed tend to sit more?
It's likely a two-way street. But there's this really important distinction in the research about the type of sitting. They separate mentally passive sitting from mentally active sitting. Mentally passive is watching TV. That is strongly linked to a higher depression risk. Mentally active is things like reading, driving, knitting, even computer work. Those don't show the same strong correlation. In fact, some mentally active sitting might even be good for cognition.
So zoning out in front of a screen is worse than being engaged while you're seated?
Yes, it's about engagement. But there's a darker side to the physical risks too. The C word.
Cancer.
Yes. The sources are pretty clear on this. Prolonged sitting is linked to breast, colon, colorectal, endometrial, and ovarian cancers.
Do we know why? Is it that LPL thing again?
That's likely part of it, plus inflammation. Sedentary people tend to have higher levels of C-reactive protein, which is a marker for inflammation. And we know chronic inflammation is a driver of cancer.
And of course, just the mechanical issues. My back hurts thinking about this.
It should. Sitting puts more pressure on your back discs than standing does. And then there's your circulation. Blood pools in your legs. That raises the risk of varicose veins. And more dangerously, deep vein thrombosis DVT.
Blood clots.
Exactly. Blood clots that can travel to your lungs.
Okay, we've sufficiently terrified everyone. The chair is a death trap. Our bones are confused. Our janitors are on strike. But we can't all just quit our jobs.
Right.
So, solutions. The obvious one. The standing desk. Is that the cure?
It's a tool. But I want to be very clear. It is not a magic cure. And I want to be careful here because the Harvard expert, Dr. Ayman Lee, actually cautions against the stand-all-day approach.
Really? Why? I thought standing was the opposite of sitting, so it must be good.
Because standing still for 8 hours isn't great either. It can lead to lower back pain, swollen legs, those varicose veins we mentioned. The goal isn't static standing instead of static sitting. The goal is movement.
So don't replace one statue pose with another statue pose.
Exactly. Dr. Lee mentions she's naturally a fidgety person, and she sees that as a biological advantage.
The fidget factor. I love that. I used to get in trouble for that.
Well, you're actually regulating your metabolism, tapping your foot, shifting in your chair, getting up to pace. That all counts. It counts immensely. Breaking up sedentary time is the key.
So what are the tactical rules? If I have a desk job, what's my game plan?
First, forget sitting for 4 hours and then taking a break. The convention right now suggests the 30-minute rule. Try to get up every 30 minutes.
Stand up.
Stand up, stretch, walk to get water, just engage the muscles, reset that LPL enzyme, remind your body gravity exists.
Okay. Every 30 minutes. What else?
Aim for a 50-50 ratio if you can. If you have a sit-stand desk, spend half your day standing. But move while you stand. Shift your weight. Do some calf raises.
I've seen people on those medicine balls. Is that just a gimmick?
Not entirely. It forces you to engage your core so you aren't fully passive. But you probably can't do it all day, or your posture might suffer.
And I love this idea of movement snacking.
Yes, it's a great concept. Take the stairs, park at the back of the lot. If you're on a phone call, stand up and pace. These little snacks of movement add up. They keep the metabolism from falling into that deep dormant state.
It sounds like the key is just to make life a little harder physically.
Exactly. Inconvenience yourself.
Okay, let's wrap this up. Bottom line for the listener, it feels like there are 3 main takeaways from all this research.
Right. Takeaway number 1, it's biological. When you sit, you are actively suppressing the enzyme that manages fat and sugar. You're turning off your body's cleanup crew.
Number 2, the gym isn't a get-out-of-jail-free card.
Correct. You need a huge amount of exercise, 60 to 75 minutes a day, to undo a full day of sitting. You can't be an active couch potato and expect full protection.
And takeaway number 3, how you sit matters.
Yes. Mindless TV is worse than active, engaged sitting. And you have to break it up. Be a fidgeter. Be the person who stands up in the middle of a meeting.
Be the person pacing in the back of the room. I like it. This whole conversation has made me so aware of my own bones.
As it should.
And I just want to leave everyone with that thought about the gravitostat again. Think about it. Your body has a built-in scale in your skeleton that helps regulate your weight, but it only works when gravity is pulling on it. By sitting down, we are essentially blindfolding our own biology. We're cutting the signal.
We are.
So do yourself a favor. As soon as this is over, or heck, right now, stand up. Let your bones know you're still here.
And keep moving.
Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. We'll catch you next time.